All right, this drum lesson is gonna go through 7 drum beats from Josh Dunn of 21 Pilots that I think you should know if you know the band 21 Pilots. Some of them are my favorite, some are just from some of their popular songs. So let's dive into this. Two things before we start. If you really love these types of lessons where we're digging through other drummers and picking their parts apart, I have a whole series of this. I've linked one below. It's gonna be the top 5 Travis Barker drum beats, so you may wanna go check that one out. It's in a pinned comment as well as in the video description. And here's the icing on the cake. I actually have transcription sheet music for this lesson, but not only does it have these grooves, it has 3 or 4 others, including, which ones did I include in there? Holding On to You, I believe, Attic with a Pen. There's a really cool part in Attic with a Pen. Migraine and another one. So in addition to the ones that are in this lesson, there are also those in that sheet music. So let's check this out. The first one we're gonna start with is their biggest song. It'll be the most obvious, and this is the one I get asked about the most. It's called Stressed Out, and we're gonna pick apart the groove at the 1 minute and 40-second mark. This song is at about 85 BPM, and we want to slightly swing these 16th notes, okay? So there's a lot of programmed stuff in their music, so a lot of times you'll be hearing things that are actually programmed in there. We tried to pick apart, Tim does all my transcriptions for me. We tried to pick apart what was actually the drums in the song. And so there's a programmed hi-hat part kind of on the off beats, but the hi-hat in this one is going to go in measure 1. It's a 2-bar loop. It's going to go on 1, 3, and 2 and 4 on the snare drum. In the recording, I don't hear a hi-hat, but you very well could play one. I'll demonstrate it both ways. It's not that big of a difference. So snare drum on 2 and 4. The kick drum is gonna go 1, the of 2, 3 and. So 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and. Let's put that together for the first measure. 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 and 4. All right. Josh is a perfect example of a drummer that plays for the song. Some of the songs are built around the drum parts. It's not how complex they are, it's how well they fit the song. All right. Now, the second measure of this is going to be very similar to the first measure. The only difference is on beat 4, we have 4 and E on the kick drum, and in the hi-hat an E an E and. So now on beat 4, that's where it's different. It's going to go 4 E and, opening the hi-hat on the and. We have a kick drum hitting with the E. So let me play those 2 measures together. 3 and 4 and. Now you'll notice I'm playing the of beat 2 a little bit softer, and in the groove it's also played like that. So let's play this up to full tempo at 85 BPM. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we could also put the hi-hat with all of the beats. So it'd go. So it's a little different. So whichever way you're more comfortable playing it. All right, so that's the first one. The second one is going to be one of the grooves from Lane Boy, and it's going to come in right about the 26-second mark. And it's going to be 80 BPM, again, very close to the last one. 16th notes on the hi-hat, okay, for the most part. That's going to be the basis. The kick drum is going to go 1 E and 3 E and then 2 and 4 on the snare drum. So it's a 2-bar loop, and that's the first bar. 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 and 4 E and 1, 2 E and 3 E and 4 E Second measure is where it starts to get interesting, all right? So we're gonna take and we're gonna play here on the hi-hat, the first 2 16th notes, we're gonna double them. So it's gonna go. Now, right after beat 2 on the E of 2, we have a double here. So it's gonna go 2 E, and then we have these accented and a 3. And then on beat 4, we have 4 E, we're gonna double and a. With a kick drum on the and of 4. So let me play that really slowly for you. 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and 2 E and a, 3 E and 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 4 and. Let's speed that up to the actual tempo of the song. All right, moving on to number 3. This is the album version of Heavy Dirty Soul. We're gonna go right about the 40-second mark, that groove there. It's 130 BPM. And so 8 notes on the hi-hat. And it's a 2-bar loop, but the second measure only has 1 ghost note different than the first measure, okay? So first measure is gonna be 1 and, 2 E and a, 3 E and. So 3 E and. The E is ghosted. The of 2 is a little louder than that ghost note. So it's gonna. Then it goes 4 E and ghost note on a. The only difference between the two is in the second measure, the E of 1, there's a ghost note. So instead of, it's. So. Now this one's a lot faster than that. It's at 130 BPM, so it's moving pretty quick. Let's play it up to tempo. Number 4 is from the song Car Radio. It's gonna be the broken hi-hat part at about the 1 minute and 2 second mark. Again, 130 BPM, but the groove is in halftime, all right? And it repeats itself. It's a 2-bar loop, but the second bar, again, is very slightly different than the first bar. So it's gonna go 1 E and a, 2 E and. 1 E and a, 2 E and. 1 E and a, 2 E and. Then we have 3 as a backbeat. We're in halftime, so 3 E and a, 4 E and. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and. Second measure is the same except on the on the and of 4, we raise the hi-hat. So 3 E and a, 4 E and. 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and. The thing that makes this fun is how quick it is, all right? It's at about 130 BPM. So let's play it up to full tempo. All right, the next one is from the song Trees. It's at the 2-minute and 4-second mark. It's 141 BPM, so we're moving. The groove is in halftime and it's slightly swung with the 16th notes, okay? They do that quite a bit in their music. All right, now let's check this out. It's gonna be a 4-bar loop at this part. We're gonna have 1 on the hi-hat and the kick drum, 2 and, so it goes 1, 2 and, then we have 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2 and 3, 4. Measure 2 is going to be 1 and. Then on 2, it's 2 and with the kick drum. Then on 3, we have the same thing as the last measure. It's going to go 3 and open the hi-hat on 4, 3 and 4 and play a kick drum with the and of 4. So 3 and 4, 3 and 4. Then we're going to have measure 3 looks exactly the same as measure 1. The only difference is the hi-hat plays 1 and then it also opens on 4. So it's going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Then in measure 4, it gets a little bit harder. We have, again, just like measure 2, it's going to go 1 and, but then we have 2 E and. Then we have 3 and open the hi-hat on 4 and just like in measure 2. Now let's put all of that together very slow. 3 and 4 and. Number 6 is Lane Boy, but this is from the live session that they did with Mute Math. Okay, this is going to be from, if you watch the full session, this is going to be at the 23-minute, 24-second mark in the song Lane Boy, and it's going to be about 80 BPM. We're going to be on the ride cymbal, and this is a fast drum and bass style of a beat, all right? So it's going to go 1 E and is how we're going to be counting it. 1 E and 2 E and it's going to have kind of a double time feel. So on the first 2 16th notes, it's bass drum, ride cymbal. So 1 E, and then and with a 30-second note in the left hand, a ghost 30-second note. Then we have a double kick on 2. So 2 E. Then we have beat 3 looks exactly like beat 1. Then beat 4 goes 4 with the kick drum and the ride cymbal, 4, E, and then we have that ghost note pattern. Let me play that slowly for you. 4, E, and O. Now let's speed that up to tempo. That's going to be 80 BPM, all right? Remember, those are 16th notes. So it seems slow, but it actually is pretty fast because we're playing double time. And last but not least, we have the tom groove, which I love, from Ode to Sleep. Now look, there's 3 or 4 other grooves from this, some of my favorite, and some of them are not from their most popular recordings, they're just from popular live sessions or whatever. That's on the sheet music. You can download this as well. Jump over and binge watch these drum lessons where I'm talking about other drummers. Travis Barker, we've got some of John Bonham, Stuart Copeland, got some Steve Gadd coming, Neil Peart, there's tons of them, all right? So be sure and check those out. This last one is gonna be it starts right at about the 52-second mark. You'll know what groove I'm talking about if you know the song. This groove is in halftime, okay? So we have a crash on 1. It's gonna go with a kick drum, and the first measure has the kick drum 4 on the floor. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It has a crash, and then 2 and 3 and 4 and with a snare drum on 3. So crash, 2 and 3 and 4 and. In measure 2, we take the kick drum and play it. We still play 8th notes here, all through there on the floor tom. We play the and of 1 with the kick drum. Then we play 2 here on the snare drum. And then we play downbeat of 3 and downbeat of 4 on the kick drum. But we play the upbeat, or the and of 3 on the high tom. Let me play that real slowly. I know that sounds kind of confusing. So far we have this. 3, 4. In the next measure, this is a 4-bar loop. The next measure has downbeat on the kick drum with the floor tom. The floor tom goes 4-E and a 2, so 4-E and a 2 and on the kick drum. So 1 and a 2 and 3 and. Beat 4 has 4 and then and here by itself. Let me play everything we have together so far. And then the last measure there, it's going to go on the kick drum, 1 and, 2 and, then 3 and, and then we'll start that over. So let me play all of that together. Now the hard part, we speed it up to 152 BPM. That's the challenge with this one, it's just the tempo. And there you have it, the top 7 Josh Dun drum beats from 21 Pilots that I think you should know. As well, there's 3 or 4 more, so it's really like the top 10 or 11 that you can download. Sheet music link is below this as well. Go jump to the other videos now with Travis Barker and John Bonham and Neil Peart and all of those, and learn some drum grooves from those great players that I love myself. So leave me a comment. Let me know what your favorite song or groove is from 21 Pilots. As well, subscribe to the channel, hit that thumbs up button if this has helped you, share it with somebody you think it may help too. But whatever you do, I'll see you here in the next lesson.